Konnichiwa, I'm the whiskey enthusiast. Welcome back to my channel. Today we have the Battle of the Japanese. We have the Hakushu 12 and the Yamazaki 12, both at 43% ABV, and both come from the House of Suntory. Different style of whiskeys, but from the same place. So, and the most accessible of single malts from that distillery, apart from the distiller's edition. But the 12 years old are, quite accessible in the sense that you can find them. They're not really cheap, especially lately. It's just gone skyrocketed. A little history of Japanese whiskey before we dive in. House of Suntory was founded by Shinjiro Tori with the help of Masataka Taketsuru. Masataka Taketsuru is from a family that they were distilling sake in Japan, and when Japan was opening up more to the world in the early 1900s, Masataka Taketsuru went to Scotland to study chemistry and distilling, and then he had his internships at Longbourn and Hazelburn. He loved the style at Hazelburn. The Campbelltown whiskey style at that time really appealed to him. He wanted to have robust, salty, and peaty products. He also got married there to Rita and came back to Japan. Partnered up with Shinjiro Tori, who was from an industrial family. They built the House of Suntory. They built the distillery. Masataka wanted to make peaty whiskeys, but the Japanese palate wasn't ready for it yet, or Shinjiro Tori didn't want. Anyway, afterwards, Masataka, after a while, left. Shinjiro Tori kept the distillery, then renamed it to Suntory, and I think that's, it's just like, Tori-san, the other way around, Suntory. Quite easy and smart way to change it. Anyway, and then Masataka Taketsuru founded the Nikka whiskey company. What else? And these two, mixed with the Cheetah single grain whiskey, which I did earlier, make up the Hibiki range. Hibiki is a combination of this, and it's technically a blended Japanese whiskey. I was going to say blended Scotch. Now I don't have the bottles for it, so I'll put the bottles here. I'll replace it here, so you'll see the bottles all the time. This one is Yamazaki, and this one is Hakushu. I didn't want to do them on their own, because I always search which one should I go for, because you're on a budget here, and you want to see which one. Obviously, it's best if you can go for samples, so then you have this to taste. I think Master of Malt does that. I think you can find other sample websites. I'm lucky enough to have friends who have the bottles, who are willing to part with their samples. And so I can decide if I want to buy this one, either, neither, both, whatever. Let's start. I also didn't want to do the mix the Hakushu with the Yamazaki and then add the Cheetah, try to make the Hibiki Harmony. That was going to be a long-winded video, and you guys would have probably watched a lot of me. There yet? No, let me pour it. So no one needs a mad scientist video around here. What's happening with my mic? I'll just do this here. It stays a bit top. There we go. All right. So Yamazaki, Hakushu. Let's start with Hakushu. Hakushu, again, both of them 43% ABV. Hakushu has 3 casks: a European oak sherry cask, a ex-bourbon American cask. These are both unpeated barley, and a peated barley from ex-bourbon. They don't say ex-bourbon; they just say American oak. So 1 peated barley and 2 unpeated barley mixture. So let's see. Right. On the nose, it's very minerally. Very, wow. Hi guys, I had 2 technical difficulties. I don't know what's going on. There was overheating, there was connection loss, the microphone didn't catch. So This is my second time doing it. I actually was recording for 6.5 minutes, and then I realized nothing happening. So I'm gonna have to dive back into these again. So I'm gonna keep it fast. Right, Hakushu. Minerally, smokes coming underneath. Very beeswax, honey, honeycomb, forest honey, thyme honey. Very earthen, very soil-like. Mulch and herbal notes like wet grass. There's a little bit of sweetness there. It feels like when you open a bag of gummy bears or something, you smell it. There is the sweetness there, but it's a bit dusty. It's a bit covered with a synthetic smell. That's what's happening here. Yeah. On the palate, that beeswax note really kicks off. It's massively prominent. More sweet on the palate. The smoke note is subdued, incredibly subdued. Bit mulchy, bit dirty, but not, soil. And the finish is sweet. Again, honeycomb, beeswax, spicy, and on the palate, green pepper note with spice. Yeah, like jalapeno, fresh jalapenos, which is on the nose as well. Yeah, fresh jalapenos through and through on the nose. Okay, let's go on to the Yamazaki. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to do it fast because I don't want to have another technical difficulty because I'll be running out of whiskey by the time this camera, yeah, I'm talking to you, gets this thing together. Right, also 3 casks, ex-bourbon, ex-sherry, and Mizunara oak. Mizunara oak is this Japanese oak that's really hard to work with because it has incredibly high moisture content, so it's really not easy to work with. And the tree actually needs to be 200 years old before they could even cut it down to work it into a cask. And it's incredibly porous, so a lot of leakage and a lot of loss of whiskey happens there as well. Apparently it gives its full character around 20 years, but obviously these are not 20 years old, and they're very expensive. If you want to have a fully matured for a whiskey that's matured in Mizunara for 20 years, that's going to be too expensive. These have a little bit touches of Mizunara. Right. Very sweet. Honey. Bourbon. Caramel. Vanilla. Apple. Pear. Incredibly similar to Hibiki. And peaches and apricots, which are my go-to notes when there's Mizunara involved. And floral. Yes, there's that sherry influence. It's incredibly malty on the palate. Super sweet. Well, not super sweet. Right amount of sweet. Like a thyme honey or, a bit more bitter honey. Caramel, bourbon, vanilla, again on the palate. Incredibly malty. The finish is milk chocolate, caramel chocolate, nutty, very nutty, the finish, nutty chocolate raisins. That would be the sherry cask. On the palate, on the nose, the peach and apricot really starting to come forward now. And the honey's taking a back seat. Malty notes are not that prominent on the nose. Cacao, chocolate covered nuts, raisins, little bit of baked goods, a little sour, and then the finish is really malty, honey, and caramelly. All right, I like this one. This one feels a bit brash, feels a bit cornered. If I didn't know this was a single malt, I would have said this is a blended whiskey. It just feels that way. I wouldn't think there's much of this in the Hibiki Harmony. Yeah, chili chocolate, very minerally, very cornered. Feels young, feels brash, and feels a bit blended. I don't like it, not necessarily. I wouldn't get it. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna recommend this. Some people might. I mean, everything you should try, I suppose. But with the price point, and there's so many other options, I'm gonna recommend this. Interesting. This is gonna be my first one Glencairn, and my Glencairn voting system, because someone asked me to do it. If it's 3 Glencairn, definitely buy it, definitely get it. If it's 2 Glencairn, it's try it before you buy it. And if it's 1 Glencairn, just skip it. There's better alternatives. By no means this is a bad whiskey. It's just I'm considering everything, right? The scarcity of it, the price of it. And I don't think it's worth a full bottle. If you can find a sample, then definitely try it. But if not, I'm going to vote the Hakushu 1 Glencairn, skip it. I'm going to vote the Yamazaki 12 2 Glencairns, because yeah, it's a good whiskey, but you can find, you know, similar products with the similar pallets with much cheaper prices. So there's no you don't need to do that. So that's it from me, guys. I hope this one recorded. Honestly, this is my like 4th try. I'm gonna check some or whatever the technical issue is happening there. So yeah, let me know which one you like from these. Let me know if you have any of these, if you can't live without them. I know there are big fans. I personally don't think they deserve the price point they command right now. They're okay whiskeys, they're not incredible. So yeah, that's it from me, guys. I hope you liked it, and I hope you enjoy this content I'm doing on this channel, even though with these issues. So if you did, please hit that like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to hear from you. Let me know. And till next time, kanpai.